Everybody, I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1. It is 5:40. Today is October 10th, 2023. We are at the Public Library Multipurpose Meeting Room, 1120 Carlton Road. Would everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everybody for making time to be here. Officially welcome Mr. Nebb to the board. Thank you for the opportunity for us having you here. I know you had an option and you opted to be part of this group, so we appreciate that. Gives us a direct line to you. Welcome aboard. With that, I'll go to item 3. If Ms. Garcia would help us with roll call.
We have Mr. Justin Heather. He did advise that he will be absent today. Mr. Joseph Nebb.
Here.
Mr. Mark Dumay.
Here.
Mr. Orlando Navarro.
Here.
Mr. Wilfredo Martinez.
Here.
Mr. Jose Ceballos.
Here.
And Ms. Carol Alexander. Here. Okay, we do meet quorum.
Who's coming low on the microphone? Mr. Martinez, if you could get.
No, you just lower it. Pull it down.
Everybody else okay? Thank you.
To face to talk.
Our item 4 is minutes, approval of minutes for August 15th and approval of minutes for September 12th, 2023 in that order. I believe those are in the packet. We had one question last time on the August 15th meeting, a reference to.
Chairman, and just to advise, the minutes for September 12th, we're not ready for review, so if we can just
Okay.
not vote on those.
All right, thank you.
So up for review or for approval are just the August 15th.
All right, thank you.
I move to approve as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Dumay. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. If you do find, I know we got these very recently, if you find anything that needs to be corrected, you can always bring them back. And we'll put them on the agenda for any edits.
Chairman, did we have any issues? We did send them out on Friday, and we
Oh, they
tried
did?
we tried to do them individually by email, because I know the committee had expressed that there was some issues the last time, but we did try to send them by Friday.
Okay, great, thank you very much. All right, we're gonna move on to citizens' comments. Citizens are required to fill out a witness card no later than 5:45 p.m. Those can be found here on location. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No more than 3 persons will be allowed to speak on any side of an issue. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. Comment should be relevant to city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks will be permitted. I have one person that signed in. I take it it's gonna be a comment. Alan Gindick, did you wish to comment, or? Okay, go ahead. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. So it was really the last notice that I'm here, so I'm just gonna speak briefly, but, Ms. Alexander, I wanted to say thank you to her for having me here. Oh, no wonder it wasn't picking me up. The reason why I'm here is because I'm an artist, and they brought me in here for the mural project, and I do believe Laredo's downtown has a lot of potential. It has a lot of culture, it has a lot of heritage, and it has a lot of roots. And the one thing I think that it's missing right now is color. There is some murals, but there's not enough right now to keep it as an attraction. Like, I used to live in Austin. In Austin, if you go downtown, you'll notice that everywhere there's murals. People take photos with them everywhere. And I think it'd be in our best interest to maybe gather or put together some different places where artists can paint and leave their mark behind so that people can feel more proud about where they live and go downtown and take photos with them, especially making it a better place to enjoy their evening or whatnot. But I do believe art right here is a rising culture. There's a lot of culture here, but there's not a lot of art. There's not a big art scene. And I've been a part of the art scene for about a few months now. I just did a residency with this organization called Cultivarte, where they got a bunch of different artists and they lent out studios so that we could paint and put on a show at the end, which went really well. But my purpose here is basically to try and promote more art around the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, and we'll get to some of that related discussion on the agenda, so we appreciate your comment. I think most of us, or probably all of us, agree with your statements. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go forward on the agenda with item number 6, discussion on any downtown-related effort or activity of board members' interest or concern. So for Mr. Neb, this is an item that we kind of keep standing in case there isn't any room within the action items where somebody wants to talk openly about another item that's not on the agenda. We have that as a standing item, kind of like just to keep us all
Thank you.
informed and I guess with contemporary topics. Is there any item that the board wishes to discuss?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have one item. Recently, the city of Laredo, in conjunction with the railroad company, Kansas City Southern, which was bought by a Canadian group, we applied for a grant to help study what we could do differently as far as the railroad that cuts through our downtown area, including but not limited to a quiet zone, so that we can help from the safety perspective of all our crossings, to upgrade that in order to get the trains to stop honking every time they go by. But beyond that, they're looking at other things like, for example, an overpass at San Bernardo, or maybe an underpass. They're also looking on improving the bridge that goes over I-35. So the money's going to be used for a study for that, specifically for the downtown area. So
Can you repeat the source?
the Chrissy grant, it's a federal grant from the Federal Railroad Association, FRA. So we'll be hearing more about that later on. We're still going through the process with the government to process the grant, but we'll be doing some stakeholder meetings, and we'll be getting together with people in the downtown area so that they can give their input also.
That's good, that's good news. Anything else the board wants to bring up?
Well, if I could.
Sure, go ahead.
Because that would be breaking tradition if I.
Yeah, we don't want to break tradition.
Yeah, I would like to welcome Mr. Neb and also Mr. McNay to the board, and I'm hoping that with this addition to our board, we will be able to sooner rather than later identify a responsible source for our central business district, for overseeing it, I guess. That's all.
Thank you very much for that. So there are some topics that we set aside for future meetings with you. We didn't want to, overlay too much on while you get started and get your feet wet with our committee or board. But the other is the Traffic Advisory Committee, activating that and having a conversation with you and the council member to get that kind of squared away and moving forward. That'll be another discussion that we can talk about as we move forward. All right, with that, we're gonna enter into item 7, which is really our administrative reporting by our consultant. Standing administrative status updates on ongoing work items including items listed below, and they're in the order that's been printed on this agenda. So with that, I'm gonna ask Rick Solis with Able City to kind of run us through the latest.
Good evening, members of the board. Rick Solis with Able City. I'm here to just go over a few things that we've been working on over the last month. I think the first two items on the list are the murals and the wayfinding. So I'll tackle the murals first. So we have, so just to kind of give you an update of all the things that we've been discussing as far as the murals are concerned. As part of our master plan project scope, we identified some areas for murals as well as where we could upgrade some storefronts. We've identified 6 locations for the murals and about 8 or so locations for storefronts. We did have a meeting with the wayfinding committee on Friday, and because we reviewed both the wayfinding and the mural, the Councilwoman Figueroa also attended that meeting as well. And one of the main comments she made at that meeting was to, right now, focus more on the murals and not so much on the storefronts. So we get that program going, or at least handle them on 2 separate passes as opposed to tying them both together. So we're working on both simultaneously to make that happen. Again, these are just the locations that we had, refresher of where we were, locations that we had determined, you know, as you come off the bridge on Zaragoza Street, that's the backside of La Posada. We targeted this old sign also on Zaragoza Street. Possibly this building on Zaragoza and Salinas, and then certainly this corner on Salinas Street as you go down towards Water Street, headed down to El Portal. A couple of other buildings on San Agustin Avenue where we have Aldo to Tangelo Parkway were also candidates that we want to target at this time. So we really met to kind of finalize the procurement guidelines, and I will tell you that I have worked on an update on the proposal package, and I'll go into this in a little bit more detail. So we want to just list the committee's recommendations and just make sure that we're all in agreement as a board on what they discussed. So they obviously they wanted us to focus on the mural implementation plan, and that storefronts would be handled via a separate process. We also are going to prepare criteria for murals of different sizes. We did ask the question in the Laredo Arts Master Plan. There was a blurb in there that said that when they went to the community that they talked about large-scale murals, and so the question was, well, do we just want to focus on large-scale murals or tackle different sizes? And I think the committee felt like we could get more bang for our buck by just tackling different sizes. And that's not to say that we won't end up with all large murals, but we certainly wanted to develop some cost categories for that. So that's what we did. We decided to kind of stick with the small, medium, large, extra large, and kind of set some budgets for that. The topic of who's going to help us implement this was discussed. I know in speaking with the chairman and with the councilwoman, I think we were just talking about having economic development help us with that effort. So we did try to reach out to them to have a meeting with them prior to this meeting, but we weren't able to connect. I believe that Ms. Castillo is not available. She wasn't in the office till tomorrow. So depending on what happens out of this meeting, we'll approach them to finalize this to be able to continue this conversation. We were also tasked to utilize the City of Laredo's call for artist proposal as part of the scoping documents. We do think that it would be a good idea to have the city legal department review this document prior to putting it out. I think that's just a matter of process. So in the guidelines, and one of the questions that I have for the board that we can discuss during the, if we discuss it now, or I think there's an item on the agenda for that, was as far as the mural specifications are concerned, we wanted to at least tackle these items, you know, as far as artistic freedom, you know, commercial content, making sure that it's not an advertisement. Obviously, obscene and indecent content, we don't want any of that. Also, not have any sponsors or sponsorships, or try to limit the size of the artist signature to a small percentage of the mural size. And then certainly, whenever they're turning in their rendition of what they're gonna propose to draw or paint, that they stick to the same configuration and dimensions that they promised. So we've included that, and I'll go into in a little bit more detail on the updated rules and procedures. The other thing that was discussed was who's going to be selecting these artists, because I believe that the goal is to pick more than one. And the discussion then was about having, we talked about Main Street and Fine Arts Commission and on. I think that, to me, that is still a little bit open. We've written the rules and procedures. I think that's just like the one little item that we need to kind of finalize. Maybe the commission could set up another committee or develop a committee, and maybe that would include one member from the TERS board to sit on that committee if you all would want to do that. But ultimately, we felt like you guys probably don't want to make that selection, or maybe you do. I think that's a question. And with that said, we've developed this proposal package.
Yeah, hold on a second. There's a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, I heard you say that Councilor Cigarroa thought it was a good idea to separate the murals from the storefronts.
As far as this, as far as the specifications and the guidelines are concerned, we have
Oh.
another option for doing the storefronts that I'll get to here in a minute.
And
Are
then,
you gonna cover that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh, and then, is there a sitting meeting Fine Arts Commission today? Is there one that's actively meeting?
I had the same question.
Yeah, so what was discussed, and Mr. Navarro was in that meeting, you were there too, Carol, on the phone, was that, no, there isn't a standing meeting right now, but the thought was because there was nothing to meet about. Whereas if there was something for them to get together to discuss, that committee would be activated again. But that's what was talked about in our committee meeting.
So if the question is that in the past city, projects that involved murals had been reviewed and approved by the Arts and
Culture.
Arts and Culture Committee.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer would be that they haven't met lately because they didn't have anything to review or discuss. Again, this is, up to the board if you're gonna wanna use a city committee to review.
So my concern, and it's a public concern, is that an organization, and I see Dr. Uribe is here, but an organization like Laredo Main Street that is boots on the ground every day in downtown Laredo, as opposed to a commission that hasn't met and is not connected to the goals and the intended outcomes of these murals, I would feel more comfortable with an organization, and I'm not putting you on the spot, right? But, the Arts and Culture Commission would, there would be a learning curve, right, before they got to even ground zero. And an organization like Laredo Main Street, it would start already, at least at first base or so. I guess home plate. That's my concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the action. I think that's very easily resolved by appointing her to that group.
I was gonna suggest that.
Well, again, we just.
If she actually
Well,
wants to serve,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
We're gonna give her work,
But
but I mean, that's.
our feeling is that we just want to make sure that whoever that committee is that's selecting, that it's, we just want it to be fair for everyone. And ultimately, I believe that there's enough funding in place to do a handful of these. Maybe we have enough to do all 6. So at that point, you're selecting from the best, right? The best selections. The only other thing that I'm missing in here, and so if I go to this updated rules.
Rick,
and
can
yeah.
you stay on that one just before you jump? So my other comment is to define who the city of Laredo is on the selection, like who is that?
Yes.
Is that something you want us to try to answer?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I would like for you all to give us some direction on that, so then we can.
We've
implement
covered
that.
some of this ground before where we, you know, like I personally, I'm not inclined to, I'm not an artist.
Right.
So you would not want me in a committee like that, that's not, you know, so we've talked about this before and, you know, I think the last time that Councilmember Cigarra was at these meetings, she came to a couple of them. We suggested that she appoint a couple of people, that were of knowledge, you know, in the arts. I do agree that there should be someone that actually is attuned to the downtown efforts and what's happening as well. But I want to make sure that as we refine that we spell out who at the city, or what do we mean by that, but
Yes.
that'll be us defining it tonight.
Yes, I think so. I think we're looking for that direction from the board.
Okay.
So, as far as the updated rules and procedures, again, we just took the document, like we were asked, the city document, and we've you know, we just basically adopted the same document. We did add, you know, some of this information, you know, where the guidelines would be posted, you know. Again, I just kept the Fine Arts and Culture Commission because that's what was in here, and my understanding is these are the updated rules and procedures for the use of these funds. We did add the project funding, like we discussed, and that the location of the murals had already been selected by the TERS board, so we'll include the map that I just showed as an exhibit. You know, if we need to, we can have an informational meeting on this, and again, we're ready to do this now, so I put some dates on here just to kind of make it seem like, you know, we're ready to move forward. Project timeline, we're giving them 30 days. I don't know if that's realistically enough time for an artist to get it done, but that was what was already in there. And then we kept the following rules. Again, who's going to accept these applications? That's a little open in my estimation. The other one that I wanted to talk about is that these were be the criteria for evaluation. You know, their experience, the appropriateness of the design, the location. I don't know if we want to keep these the way they are or remove some. That's another question, you know, we can discuss if y'all, or if y'all feel like this is what's in the program, let's just run with it.
Was that covered in committee?
That was covered in the committee.
So they're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The other thing that we don't have in here, like I mentioned, is we do have the categories for considering the murals inappropriate, right? But I don't know if you want us to add, and we didn't talk about this in the committee, so that's why I'm bringing it up right now. If we want to add any verbiage as far as content, right now it's very open-ended. We're basically this is letting the artist decide what their inspiration is. If we want to direct that content to be more historical or anything, I think that's we would have to put that verbiage in here. We don't have it right now, so that's another question that as I was writing this, I was just thinking, what am I missing, right? And then it just talks about the applicant responsibilities. Again, I just took this from the city. I think it works. Obviously, we'd want to get legal to review it, but before I move on, if anyone has any questions on this.
Are we going to choose that? Not? Are we going to choose that?
When we actually, on the action item, we're gonna go through this in detail, or actually give you some of that direction that you've asked us to give you.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll move on. The other thing that we talked about at our meeting was the wayfinding monument signs. So at our previous, it might have been last year, we had reviewed the wayfinding monuments. We developed a key map of 6 locations, and we had come up with a scheme for those monuments. We had talked about them being internally
Rick,
illuminated.
can you keep it on the map?
Sure.
Just, I wanna make sure Mr. Neb can place those, cause I
Yeah.
think it's probably the first time that he sees that.
Well, I have pictures that show them at
Okay.
every location, so, So the one location would be at City Hall. We located one at St. Peter's Plaza, another one at El Metro, one at El Mercado Plaza, one at San Agustin Plaza, and then one at El Portal. So those were the 6 locations that we determined. And this we did review with the committee prior and with CVB as well. So I think everybody's
Agreed
in
upon.
agreement with this.
And the reason it was reviewed by CBB was because there is some city
Funding.
funding that is
correct.
gonna be tied to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
it-
these were the 6
it-
mock-ups that we came up with. As you can see, this is where the City Hall sign would be located, near the bus stop. This is the view of the St. Peter's Monument sign. This is the one at the El Metro. Here's the one at the Center for the Arts, San Agustin Plaza, and El Portal, to kind of give you an idea of what those look like. So then we also discussed the directional street signage. These were also the locations that we had discussed, putting these monument signs. And you can see, you know, we're sort of working on what the flags are gonna be, so we're still working through that. But essentially, when we talked, we settled on option 2 to be sort of like the main corner street sign. And then we had this option 5, which was like a specialized monument for directional signage. And that was also approved during our earlier meetings. So we reached out to a company called FSG. They're located in Austin. I was able to tour their facility. They really are a great outfit. This is what they do. They do signage for everything. The good thing about them is that they're also on the buy board. So, and in conversations with both Mr. Chavez and Mr. Pescador, they both said if they're on the buy board and we vetted them, that you can use them. So that's what we've done, and they've confirmed that. This is just an example of the documents that they'll produce for us to approve. So we'll bring back some information for final approval, but we just want to kind of work with this example right now. I included this picture on the side. If you go back to this signage that we had up here, this material here, originally we were talking about using Corten steel. Corten steel is very expensive, and it rusts, so it can kind of make a mess. So the option that they gave us was for a material that looks like Corten, which is essentially this material here, but it doesn't rust. It stays that color. It doesn't change.
Is it steel?
It's steel, yeah. So again, these are the kinds of documents that they can. This signage that they sent me was for a project they did in the city of Mansfield, Texas. So they did provide to us some budget numbers, and I reviewed these with the committee also on Friday. For the wayfinding monuments, those 6 signs, for the illuminated signs, there was a total of $76,000. If they were non-illuminated, the cost would be about $69,000. The little signposts, for 15 of those, we're looking at a cost of about $35,000. Each sign is about $2,200 with all the flags. They also did include a cost for that corner monumental street sign. That one was, just for one sign, it was $34,000. Plus there are miscellaneous design fees and the shipping costs. So when we reviewed this with the committee, I believe the thought was, well, there's a small difference in cost between illuminated and non-illuminated. So it seemed to make sense to go with that. I do want to add that subsequent to that, I did talk to them, and there is the cost of the electrical to power it up. These are just this cost is just to get the sign there, right? So, and I don't know what that cost is. It's going to be different for everyone because I don't know exactly where we're getting power. They would have to come down and do a survey, and they have their own electrician, so all of that would be a turnkey price, but I just don't know what that cost is right now. So but right now, what the committee recommended was to move forward with illuminated signs and the directional signage, the street posts, but not move forward with the corner signage, because it was just $34,000, seemed like a big cost for one sign. And so if I total all of that up, the total cost would be about $118,000, $119,000 plus the amount for the electrical, which we won't know until they do their surveying. I did talk with CVB, and they did confirm that they had allocated $80,000 towards this project. So and really what they were more focused on was those wayfinding monuments, the illuminated ones. So it just so happens that we fall right within their budget.
How much did you say?
80, yes,
80.
80,000, yes. So, I believe that the TERS had also allocated an additional $100,000 for wayfinding signage. So, with that said, I think there's more than enough in your budget to cover doing these signs, and with, the fact that they're buy board, we don't have to go through the whole procurement process, and we can get these guys going to start getting some movement out there, should that be the wish of the board. So, there's an action item that's coming up that we can ask some more questions if you all have that. And if anyone needs to see, I did bring the breakdown of the quote, so if anyone wants to take a look at that, I can send this out as well to everyone.
Rick, so how long would it take FSG to do the survey for the actual electrical rough-in?
I don't know, I haven't had that conversation with Mr. Jacobs yet. I told them that we would be meeting today, and they're very, very excited to work with us. So I think certainly within a couple of weeks, we could get them down here to start working on this. Okay, so the only other updates I have, I know that KCI is, Andrea with KCI is here. I did receive their updated plans. Oh, one last thing, and I don't know if I can access that from here, but so we were also asked to update our website. Downtownters1.org. And so I just wanted to point this out. Under key information, if you go to the website, we do have the TERS map, but then we also have our budget presentation, and then we have our conceptuals for the monuments, including the wayfinding that I just reviewed with you all right now. We included the downtown parking survey so that it's accessible in one location, as well as the Main Street vacancy summary that we saw last month. We've included that as well. The City of Laredo TERS development agreement, we're still pending to get that, as well as we included the proposals that we submitted to the MPO. That's all on here. So we wanted to make sure that we included all these organizational documents in one place so that anybody that had questions could come and access this information. We do also have on here, and back to the item of the storefronts, we do have our Get Involved tab that talks about, you know, if you're an artist, you can apply. We just need to get the word out, I think. And so that's going to be the next step for doing that as well.
And we'll add the construction drawings as well, right, the draft?
Yeah, in fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, under projects, I think, let me double check. They didn't add it, maybe, no. I had asked them to add it on here, so I'll double check. I just received them this afternoon, but. As far as the next item, I think is for the MPO. I don't have any updates on that right now, other than that we did submit the last paperwork that they requested. And then on the downtown, the plaza parking, alternative parking layout, I don't know, do you want to speak to that, Andrea, or do you want me to give the update?
Just real quick on the MPO, the oversight form was submitted. Mr. Chavez submitted that to TxDOT. So what's next is to have the advanced funding agreement come back from TxDOT. This is a grant that the TERS board or the TERS, the city applied through the MPO for a stretch of the same type of improvements on Salinas Street, which is, Salinas takes you down to bridge number 1.
So you said it was submitted to MPO or to TxDOT?
To TxDOT.
TxDOT, okay.
Good afternoon, Andrea de Anda with KCI, representing Edward. He's at a TxDOT conference. But I did talk to him about that proposal, and he just had a question if we would be doing an addendum to our current contract for that parking study. We did talk to Mr. Peña, and he said that he would want us to do the construction plans. So we could write a proposal and get it to you next week. We would just know, we would have to know who we are addressing it to. So that was his question.
Can you repeat that?
Who would we be addressing the proposal to? Like, would it be an addendum to our current construction plans for TERS? Or would we do a new proposal for the TERS board?
You want-
Yeah, did you want to comment?
Well, I guess the question is whether we want it separated from the original contract and have a separate item?
I think it's related and close nearby to the San Agustin improvements. It's actually on San Agustin partly, so I think it would probably be an addendum to the existing contract or an amendment to the
Okay.
existing contract.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can get that to you next week, so that we
Unless,
can.
somebody else feels differently, but it seems to me it's in the same area, it's very related, rooted out of the same work.
Amended, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to see, I would like to see the parking committee reconvene or be created, connected to those improvements.
Okay. We can do that when that comes back.
Okay, we'll get your proposal next week then.
Okay, great, thank you.
The only other comment I have is, and I don't know if you want to, it's related to the phase 1 of the project.
Well, I don't know if the
you
board has any questions on what you presented. This
Yeah.
would be a good time. If we don't, then we can move on to.
I have a
you,
question.
Ms.
I mean,
Alexander.
this is not a question for you, Mr. Solis. This is a question in general. Because those beautiful signs that are lit up in the back, the question is, who or what organization will maintain those signs going forward? It's one thing to purchase the signs and install them, and it's another thing 5 years from now to see who's going to be maintaining them downtown. And so typically, a TERS board works with a business improvement district to coordinate the ongoing maintenance. But our TERS board does not, at this point, have an agreement with the business improvement district. And I would like to just make note that the maintenance of these signs is going to be illustrative of that need.
It's a good note.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you. Mr. Demay?
I'm wondering along those lines if we can approach the city about whether the city would be interested in doing the maintenance and also.
Can you lower the mic,
electrical
please?
And everything.
Can you lower the mic so we can,
Okay.
thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Well, can we approach the city about whether they would be willing to form an agreement or something here to take on the maintenance in the future and also the electrical bills that are coming along with this, as well as possibly talking to them about whether they have the connections to do this electrical work or
The city?
the city, because this is going to be on city property, correct?
So for the most part, it's in right-of-way, yes.
Okay,
I think they're,
that's-
Rick, they're all in right-of-way, correct?
Is that, okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
So-
And to come along with that as well, if we're talking to the city, you were talking about a call for artists, maybe we can reach out to the city. They do something on their website to
Correct.
say, we want to do a call out to the artists, and that might be a way to push some of this out publicity-wise
right.
and get the word out. If we're going to talk to them about those, maybe we can talk to them as well about these other things.
I agree,
that
I think a lot of us
suggestion
would
here?
support that. I don't know, Mr. Nev, if you have any comments on it?
There's the city.
You know, you're here,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you're the man for the city, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good comment. The business district is certainly something that eventually will be activated in full force, but until then, I think it would benefit all these efforts and the investment to have a plan.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm kind of curious about what the expected ongoing cost would be for this. I think if we have that, then we have the ability to figure out exactly where it's at. I think the Business Improvement District is a good place to place all of this work. At least that was the conversation that I know a lot of us have had. But short of that, it will need to fall to the city's responsibility if there's no other recourse for that. So no one, in my mind, I would assume that, I'm not sure which department would end up picking up and carrying the ball with the wayfinding and the monument signs, but I would assume parking, but I'm not 100% certain without that. So having a cost estimate on what we think it'll take in order to maintain them, I believe they're fairly stable. There's not a lot of cost, at least on the front side, until they kind of wear out over that period of time. So.
And I can certainly reach out to the vendor and ask them for their, they may have some historical data regarding maintenance long-term and what's the average lifespan of one of these signs, and we can report that at the
Current
next
costs,
meeting.
the electrical is gonna be minimal, monthly,
Yeah.
Right.
LED lighting.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say in most of the cases, the lights are the electricity's already there for the street lights on every intersection, so it would be just for that nominal for the LED signs as well. But I think if we can have that information, then we can figure out exactly where to place that responsibility.
So should we, once we get that, we channel that through your office as for follow-up?
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay, great.
Okay, we'll get that information for you guys.
Thank you. All right, so if there aren't any other questions or comments, then we'll go to the action items. Again, following on what's already been discussed, update presentation discussion with possible action is item 8, related to the Phase 1 tourist projects, final construction drawings, and establishing a date certain competitive solicitation period.
Where are you?
Number 8.
So I did
Isn't that 8?
exchange messages with Edward Ochoa this afternoon, and he indicated to me that he spoke with Mr. Chavez this morning, I believe, and I'm under the impression that they're looking at 30 days for going out for bids.
In 30 days?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it was being shared with me before the meeting that there's still some departments that need to sign off fully.
Well, yes, I think that was the caveat to the 30 days, but yes, I think that they're pushing to get that out.
So we don't have any other edits that we've looked at, right, or changes?
No, I think, I have the latest plans here, but I mean, they're not any different from what we looked at the last time. I will say that we've also provided KCI with our specs for surface treatments and all of those things. As an aside, we probably, for the next meeting, we are working on finalizing those, well, not finalizing, but bringing to you guys the design guidelines, the downtown design guidelines. We have somebody working on those now. Going through this exercise really helped us kind of hone in on what we think it needs to work based on the conversations that we've had with the board over these last few years. So I think it'd be good for us to kind of pull it all together in one concise document that then we can share with you guys, and you all can vote on it or approve it, or however you all want to adopt that.
I'd like to speak to that just a second. So the idea with that was to, instead of having different materials being used in downtown by different departments, is that we would all somehow channelize them through departments. And so the initial takeoff would come from our consultants and then channel through the city for consistency and agreement. And then I would think it would require some sort of city council
Yes,
action to
probably
say,
so.
okay, these are the adopted standard products
Yeah.
that everybody agrees within reason that are to be adhered to. So
Right.
we don't end up with a
Yep.
multitude of products.
Well, you walk up and, you have stamped concrete, you have scored concrete, you have asphalt, you have like any number of
Brick.
treatments, brick, right? So we're trying to standardize all of that, and it's including the the light poles and the benches and all of that, I mean, we'll bring that to you guys for review.
Can you spend just a few minutes running us through this, the construction drawings, for those folks that maybe are new to this?
Sure. So, the phase one project consists of 9 blocks. It's the first 2 blocks on Zaragoza from La Posada down to Convent, and then from Convent to Salinas. And let me, I'm gonna zoom in. There you go. So yeah, these first 2 blocks. Then the other 2 blocks are going north-south on San Agustin Avenue from Grant to Lincoln Street. And then we're doing the 5 blocks on Iturbide from Santa Ursula all the way down to Salinas. I will say that the majority of the effort that we are doing is along this first block, or the second block on Zaragoza. You can walk down there right now and you'll see that it needs a lot of work. We're doing some minimal work between San Agustin and Salinas on Iturbide. We are completely redoing San Agustin Avenue north-south. And then we're doing a lot of work on the first block of Iturbide from Santurce to San Bernardo, and then slightly less, but still some work from San Bernardo to San Agustin. We are really focusing on the intersections, and I'll go into those here real quick. So we have, you can see the 9 blocks there. So this is the existing conditions on Zaragoza, and this is what the demolition of what we're tearing out. So you can see all the work that we're demolishing along the block. And then here we have, we are essentially redoing the intersection here with ADA ramps. We're extending the curb out and adding some steps. If you, it's the grade change is pretty dramatic along that street. And then, so we're essentially right now it's you can fit about 2 cars going down that way. So we're reducing it to 1 vehicle, one to slow down traffic and make it more pedestrian friendly. We're also trying to help give all of the storefronts that are out here some usable space that they can, you know, if they want to put some chairs or something out there, that's what we would do.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask a question. If we get the calendar dates and everything goes according to plan, when would construction start? Just a month, if you give me a month.
Más o menos, I would say, you know, it takes at least 30 days to put it out for bids, at a minimum, I think.
So it's
If we put
November?
if we put it out at the end of October or sometime in November, once we get the bids back, they're evaluated, then it needs to go to council for approval, or no, does it go to you guys, right? It comes back to you
comes
guys,
here.
it doesn't have to go to council, so.
Well, I'm just curious if we should be careful with December, because there's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of tearing up of the streets and everything right during Christmas holidays and
Yeah.
tourists coming.
My feeling is that we're probably pushing into January.
All right, that's fine.
Would be my feeling on this one, but.
And then we're at WBCA time. Yeah, there's always something.
There's something, yeah.
Well, right. So again, this is the other block from Flores to Convent. Again, we're right now it's in pretty decent shape. We're doing some minimal cleanup in that area, adding some trees. You can see the little tree wells down at the bottom. This is the first block of San Agustin, and we're basically tearing it all out and making it flush and raising the intersections. We have some renderings, I think, that we worked on, right? Yeah, I just didn't bring them. We'll have them at the next meeting. That really, we felt it was worth doing the exercise, so we've actually, I know we've been just showing you Zaragoza. Next time we'll show you everything else that we've been doing. So again, you know, the way the drawings are set up is just going through and demo and what is happening. Again, we're raising the intersection here at Iturbide and San Agustin. So, you know, here, as you turn in from Santa Ursula into Iturbide, we've narrowed that road also, and I think it was the wish. And the good thing with this is that we've been really talking to the neighbors. We did have a little design charrette late last year where we brought in all of the people in the community to voice their opinions. So we have tried to do that outreach as part of our work. So again, just more of the same. This is the block in front of the old Siete Banderas. And there's that corner again. Once you get past San Agustin, it's the work is really more, you were just fixing sidewalks, adding trees, adding lights. So it's the work is a little bit more minimal as we go down the street. These last two blocks on Iturbide, there was previous work that was done, I think, in like the early 90s, where they basically did the same concept that we're trying to do. We're just trying to take this and implement it back and make it standardized throughout the downtown area. I don't know if there's anything else you want to look at for that.
Can you show the ones with the pictures that you can tell improvements? Remember that you put the front pictures of, you know, not this one, this is the construction, the other one.
That's the rendering.
The rendering, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I have them. Let me see. I might
You don't
have,
have it handy?
maybe we uploaded them to the website. I hope so. I'm trying to see if we have. Well, you know what? They're right here, I think. So we had some public improvements as far as the. Yeah, I think these are the old ones. Yeah. I'll certainly bring that to the next meeting. I didn't bring those with me. I
That's really
apologize.
good.
Yeah.
So, the language that I included here, date certain, your date certain is 30 days. And, you know, to me, the overarching concern has been as we get to bidding and construction is making sure the utilities department is ahead of us or with us so that we are not tearing up what we just put in. So, you know, hopefully he signs off and the director is ready to roll when it occurs. That's very critical.
We did meet with them, both Edward and I. We both sit on the Utilities Advisory Committee, so we took that opportunity to bend his ear a little bit. And he did indicate that he was willing to work with us, and he just said, tell me where you're starting and I'll make sure I'll stay ahead of you guys. So we'll take him at his word that he'll come through for that.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say that there's a Utilities Advisory Committee?
Yes.
And that meets with the
We have a
Utilities
meeting on
Department?
Thursday at every month.
Because I'm still wondering what the outcome is or was of the conversation with AEP and the mess of lines that they have all over downtown.
Well, I think at the previous meeting, we discussed that the underground person from AEP came to talk to us, and we walked it with him. And he indicated at that time that it's very expensive to bury those lines on Iturbide. I think he gave us a rough estimate of like $2 million per block.
But the lines are already buried on Iturbide.
No, I'm sorry, Zaragoza. I
So we
apologize.
did have the money to bury the lines on Iturbide, but
some
now there's
point-
no money to bury the lines.
Well, I'm just telling you what he said.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm just making the point that
yeah,
we do have
yeah.
one street
I
downtown with buried
think the
lines.
furthest the underground lines come is to the corner of Convent and Grant. I think that's the furthest south that those underground lines come downtown. They did say in the future that it could happen, but they don't know when. There's no timetable on that. We did, and I need to get back with Edward to talk about this, but we talked about, well, maybe do we put some conduits underground right now, since we already have everything dug up? That in the future, if they do extend those lines, well, then we have ways of realizing those connections, and we're not tearing up our work. So we're looking at that right now as
I
part of.
really think we should do that and integrate that into the plans now.
Yeah.
It's not a significant cost.
No, it's
to-
not.
To put the conduit and
Right.
then later bring in the power bank underground.
Yeah, so, they did say the last work that they did was, the $2 million cost was when they had the, I guess it was a fire or something, the duct bank blew up downtown, so.
Oh, the gas line.
Yeah, and so, part of that cost was also because it was an emergency, so who knows? I mean, ultimately, but that price was years ago, so now the price is higher, so it's hard to say really, but that was just his rough finger in the air estimate.
Oh,
But-
and I remember you did show us the plan to relocate the lines and kind
Yeah,
of
we
square
are,
them up.
we are, and AEP has agreed to, we are relocating the poles from the south side to the north side to line up with the metal poles that are in front of the outlets. So we are doing that as part of this scope of work.
Okay. I want to bring us back to the action item so we can move ahead to other items. I don't hear that we really need an action on this, but I do want to make sure everybody understands on the board that we have done our rounds with the city departments. I hope we don't see any significant delays from any one department, because this has been a long, drawn-out process to get to a design that everybody agrees. So more than 30 days, I think, would be excessive given the number of months we've had. So I just want to stress that, because we're
Yeah.
already, again, we're into the holidays, and
Yeah.
nothing's going to happen between now and December, but at least get the competition out there and going. I think that's
Correct.
important.
Yeah. Okay.
Chairman, just to provide an update, I did also speak to Ramon, and he did explain to me that he was still pending 100% plans and specs from the consultants, but as far as what he had as, for plans, he had already routed them to the departments that would need to give approvals to ensure that we would not delay it. So he did forward the plans that he did have last week. But we are still pending. We have not, the city has not seen the whole plans and specifications. So that is needed in order for the process to begin. And
Are you at this point done with specs?
I think so. I think we've, right? Yeah. Yeah, we've pretty much, we've been diligently working through that the last few weeks with KCI. So I think we've given them that information. I think all that is, they're implementing that right now.
You know, including the fire department, we finally got their blessing.
Yeah, they were one of the, I mean, they were the well, traffic's the hardest one, but fire was very difficult, and we were able to get through their comments. So I think we're good with them.
Okay. All right, so with that, I'll move on to item 9, discussion with possible action to award a Texas By-Board Cooperative Purchasing Contract to FSG Signs for the way signage package at an amount to be discussed and determined today at this board meeting. So with the electrical work pending, I really think we ought to wait for that. It may be something that you can bring back in 30 days unless the board is ready to award any of the items. Was the committee recommending an award?
They would like to move forward, obviously. So I'm not sure, you know, we could, I don't know how to engage them to come down. I guess I can ask them, hey, we want to go with the illuminated signs. Can y'all come do your survey? I don't know if there's a cost for that. I can find out. So that would be my only hesitation to not award anything, but it's
Mr.
certainly up
DeMay,
to
do you
them.
have any recommendation? I mean, I think in general, the committee, and I don't know about the rest of the board, but I think there's comfort with moving ahead with some of this to get them engaged to come down. Is there a process that you would suggest us using? putting you on the spot, but.
Yeah, well, I think we do want to reach out to them to get, if you will, kind of their quote, what they would say as far as coming down for a visit and doing this, and see what they would charge us to come down and give us that. I think that's worth looking into just with a phone call to find
Okay.
out.
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, I think I can certainly reach out to them and.
Because it takes going to every site and determining what
Right.
source we're using and what the cost would be
Right.
to channel our pathways to light up the signs.
Yeah.
One of the things that the committee was looking at was we voted on illuminated signs and to eliminate the directional street sign, the $34,000 sign.
Mhm.
Eliminate that to bring to the committee, to the TERS board.
So, I think does the board want to get a sense of the board comfortable moving ahead with non-illuminated, subject to an electrical survey being conducted? I don't think they're gonna start fabricating between then and now. I mean,
No.
we could do that. We would only back out the illumination if we couldn't afford it, right?
Correct.
Or if we decide that it's too
Yeah.
much.
And that was the other thing, we weren't sure how much CVB was putting in, but now we know it's 80,000.
Right.
We thought it was a lot less, so
I thought it was, yeah.
that really helps,
Yeah, we were under the impression it was more like 60, but it's 80, so.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on this item, whichever is the preference. If there's any other discussion on it,
What's the motion?
there's no motion, I'm entertaining one. If
Oh.
the board wants to take action.
Yeah, so, go ahead.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'd recommend, or I'd make a motion that we establish a not-to-exceed price of $180,000, enter into an agreement with FSG for the illuminated, for exactly what was asked for without the option B. So in my mind, we should probably just recommend the illuminated unless we're proven incorrect with our amount. So I would recommend that we would go ahead with the illuminated, items 1,
So it'd be items
3.
1 and 3,
1 and 3,
yes,
and 5 and 6?
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, so 1, 3, 5, and 6, and a not to exceed of $180,000.
It's 118,
18,000.
607.
Well, that's the amount for without the electrical.
Oh, I see what you're
Right.
saying.
What I'm
Yes.
saying is that the city of Laredo has $80,000 into it, the tiers has allocated $100,000, our
That's
not to
correct.
exceed is $180,000. If
Understood.
the electrical comes in higher than that, then I would ask for that to return to us to determine whether or not we wish to up the ante or change the type of sign.
Okay. It's been moved by Mr. Neb. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Mr. Martinez. Any additional discussion?
I have
Question?
a comment. If, where is the sign that's the directional sign, where was that located?
You're talking about.
Number 4?
This
the-
one?
The 34, yeah.
This one? It was on, they were on Santa Ursula and like Victoria, I believe, or Houston, somewhere in that location. I believe, here, number 4.
Oh, so away from pedestrian traffic?
Correct. It's, really, that was more of a vehicular, like you're driving off the highway, it's something that catches your attention.
Oh, so you'd be able to see, because it looked like something you'd have to read up close.
Yeah. No, that is more of like a really fancy pole sign,
Like
a
a-
beacon.
and-
a street sign.
And so that would be in addition to the It Street sign, correct?
The monument sign?
Right,
Yeah, that's not on the table right
right,
now.
right. But, so this sign would be Santa Ursula and, Victoria, so closer to the highway?
Yeah, you see how this says like Iturbide, this was a mock-up. It's an expensive sign,
Yeah.
So we're not, this one right now, the committee voted not to entertain at this time. I mean, that's not to say we couldn't modify this to get the price down and do them later, but given what we sent them, that's the price that they gave us.
Well, I was just hoping that, the way the motion reads, up to 180, pending the electrical costs, if we could get a sign, maybe not that expensive, but something that does the job of what that one's trying to do, we could include it if there's if there's leftover funds.
We can come back to the board with some additional recommendations. Like I said, I'm seeing this as just the first step for the wayfinding. Obviously, with the funding that we have available, I personally don't anticipate the electrical being that expensive, you know, to go over the 180. That's my feeling
So we
right
can
now.
entertain something else as we go forward.
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
so we could have that money there, okay.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. Thank you very much. We are now on item 10, discussion of possible action to finalize and adopt TERS number 1 mural and storefront program guidelines and initiate date certain solicitation period and process and any other matters incident thereto that's been covered before. I've got a few comments, Rick. I'm gonna roll through them really quickly. I would like there to be a note on the expectations for awards so that people understand there could be so many awards as an example, right? So that nobody gets led to believe that I'm gonna get the $50,000 award, right? I think somewhere in the RFP, if that can get included. And, the other, is to explain the review process to the proponents so that they understand, what the committee composition is, right?
Right,
And that's something that you want this board hopefully to do today.
yes.
I would suggest to the board that, you know, we've discussed this before where we actually have some people that know the arts be part of that scoring group. I don't want to, we've been here with this Fine Arts and Cultural Commission, not meeting. I don't really want us to lose any more time. If they cannot have a meeting, that we proceed ahead and come back to the board with a recommendation. If they do have a meeting, then great, but I don't think we should wait 60, 90 days to have,
Right.
have this program take off, so.
And include Dr. Uribe.
Yeah, if that's something you want to make as part of the motion, I think that's the guidance that he's looking for.
Yeah, there was talk by the counselor of the district, that if we could, instead of keeping it all city, if we can work with Laredo Main Street and pass it to them so they could start the structure and the process, so that they could be kind of the working body for us. Because there was talk about maybe economic development could do it, and then the arts and committee, they're under engineering, I think. So I don't know how that happened, but
They're under
that was switched over.
Mr. Navarro, so how do you see, like, so they named the city of Laredo and the notes that they brought for the presentation and the commission, right? It goes to the commission, they make a recommendation, right? But how do you then integrate others into that review, right? Because that's to me what I'm not really picking up on.
Yeah,
How do we-
and I don't have a good answer for that either. I mean, I think maybe, like you were saying, it could be a committee of you know, where the fine arts, and I don't know if it's the Fine Arts and Culture Commission that creates that committee, or if you guys create that committee, like
Does
that's.
that committee has a representative from every council member, or is that how that goes? Yeah.
There is a committee, and I saw the list.
I can give you some information on that committee. Yes, so that committee has a council appointee. So there's eight members, I believe, in that committee. That committee was set up as a city committee to review any murals and projects. Doesn't mean that it has to, this was just a template that was provided to able cities. It's up to this board, because you are a governing board.
Right.
It's up to your board to decide if you want to use a committee that has been established in the past to review murals, or if you want to establish your own process to review, or if it just comes to your board, any qualifications, and your board, you know, puts together a subcommittee to review. That is up to your board to determine.
Was there a vision by the council member over how she saw the commission playing what role and how, or?
I think I don't want to speak for her, but from the impression I got was that we would utilize the Arts and Culture Commission for their intended use. And I think that's why they're there, I think. So I think that's why she wanted to kind of push it in that direction. Like I said, if, like, her comment was if we have to give them something to meet about so that they have a reason to meet. I think
Correct.
that's what's-
And they were very active when the city was putting out RFPs for murals. They were active, and I believe the people that were chosen for that committee have backgrounds in arts and cultural. So again, that is something that the board could use.
During that committee meeting that we were at with Counselor Figueroa, her concern was that there needs to be a body to administer the activity.
Right.
And I'm not sure if the committee
No,
can
so
administer.
That's
correct?
gonna be the Economic Development Department, is what I'm understanding.
That was my understanding,
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah,
that was.
that's what it concurs. So, any additional discussion on how the board wants to proceed? You want to make a comment, Dr. Diva? Go ahead and come to the podium. I want to make sure before you start, that we try to leave as soon, quickly after, not too long after 7, so I want to sure we wrap this up.
Yes, so this is Marcela Uribe, the Executive Director of Laredo Main Street, for the record. Just a comment, I agree with the proposal that the committee has been formed, but I would definitely advocate for my organization to have a seat on that committee, like it has been discussed before. This is one of the many programs that have a history in many other Main Street programs. So, we can bring some kind of expertise. We can call a friend that already has gone through that process. I think we can bring so much to the table. So if we...
We're convinced.
Yeah, if we would be appointed to the committee, even if it's the original committee that is appointed by different council members, we might be an add-on or something, an addition maybe just for the downtown project. So that would be my comment. And the other thing is that in terms of administration of the program, I think that economic development, since they are a city department, they are the best option. Laredo Main Street, we would love to do it, but we don't know the rules and regulations of the city. We're not a city entity, so definitely will have to be a city department. So on that regard, I think it's the best option as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I just, on what Dr. Uribe mentioned, Laredo Main Street is under the umbrella of the Texas Historical Commission, and there is a whole murals department connected to all of the Main Street programs. And so there's a lot of help in Austin, correct, as well, to work on the murals.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion. If not, I'll make the motion myself.
Oh, yeah, I'll move that.
Go ahead, Bebe.
Okay, that we get the mural program going, or what is it? We finalize and adopt the suggestions from Maple City to create and begin the procurement of the murals.
Okay. And do you have any direction as to what they want, the things that they want clarified in terms of that committee process? I have the suggestion, I was gonna say, go to the Arts and Cultural Commission, let them play the role that the committee feels, and request that Main Street be an ad hoc member for that review process. They're not an official member, at least serve in that role, and then that all comes back to the TERS board anyway. That's my suggestion, right? So it's a informal participant member, but that's a way to include Main Street in that process. Is that okay with to add to your motion?
Well, I remember that Mr. Solis also mentioned that you were looking for direction connected to the content.
Yes.
And you mentioned the more historical content downtown, and so at the last, like Mr. Gindick, the artist that came to speak to us, talked about just adding some color, some fun, some whimsy, maybe not everything about, connected to our historical past. So, we had decided last time to kind of leave it open.
That's
right, to
correct.
the
I think that's
artists.
the best
And
way to
it's,
go.
it's open right now, so
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah,
I just wanted
leave
to.
it open.
I just wanted to be sure that, I guess at that point, whatever submissions you get, it's up to the commission to say, yes, this fits downtown, or
So it could be rainbows or Tomas Sanchez.
correct. Or it could be Tomas Sanchez dancing in the rainbows or
There you
something,
go.
right?
All right, so is everybody clear on the motion?
Not at all.
Not at all, okay. Do you want me to restate it, or you want to restate it? Go ahead and restate it, sir.
The motion is to finalize and adopt and begin.
Procurement.
Procurement for the call to artists to begin the TERS mural project, to include the Arts
Culture.
Commission and potentially Laredo Main Street, and under the direction of the Economic Development Department.
So you're not asking Able City to do anything? It's now in the hands of the Economic Development Department?
Well, but the Economic Development is Miriam, her economic.
Right.
That's a city.
right.
That's a city.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Wait till she gets back tomorrow. Second.
Second by Mr. Navarro. Any additional comments? Questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. We are on to discussing calendar. We were gonna do this in November. I decided to include it at this meeting. These are, generally, we do stick to the calendar. I was gonna suggest this year that we not have a December meeting unless we really wanted to, just to catch a break, but it's up to the board. So it's on the 2024 schedule as well, but what we can do is you can look at them, and if you have any, we'll put them back on the agenda and finalize them at the next one. Give you an opportunity to go back and look at your calendars.
Well,
Have you seen
I
this?
well, yes, I did see that, and I would like the December meeting, just because I'd like to get the mural program going, because if we could add some fun and color downtown,
That's
it would
fine.
be.
We have it scheduled, so
Yeah.
it's,
But of course, depending on if the arts and, if the commission needs and all that kind of
That
stuff.
would be nice.
yes.
Yeah, the murals go
All
up.
right, so we will bring back, unless the board is ready to adopt it, but I'd like to at least have some time myself to look at the dates and then bring them back in the November meeting, we'll adopt them. The second to last item, item 12, discussion possible action regarding invoices submitted by Able City and KCI Technologies. Those are in your packets. This is for ongoing design work and for Able City design work, plus a little bit of admin time for helping us run our meetings and our committees and that related work.
Mr. Chairman, if we go back to item 10, please, can we bring that back? Would it be possible if, I'll make a motion here, that we switch, that the times just stay at 2:30? Instead of going to
Item-
5:30, just straight across the board at 2:30?
We haven't adopted it, so
Well, I just want,
you want to do it now?
well, I'm putting the motion out
I
there.
would
If
like,
there's-
is it time for discussion?
Okay,
Sorry.
there's a motion.
There's a
Is there
motion
second
on the floor.
On this is item 11 on the calendar. Is there a second for discussion?
What was the motion there?
To
The
change all the
motion
meetings to
Go back
2:30.
to you want them all at 2:30?
Yes, all at 2:30.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Dies for lack of a second.
Carol, nothing?
You can bring them back. I mean, I think if you want to have more 2:30s I think the 5:30 for me is just allowing for public access, right, for people to come after work.
And for people who work from 8 to 5.
We'll bring them back if there's more 2:30s or more 5:30s or whatever, we can adopt them at the next meeting. All right, item 12 are the invoices. I'll entertain an action on this item.
Mr. Chair, I move to pay the invoices as submitted.
It's been moved by Mr. Neb. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Mr. Martinez. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. Motion to adjourn at 7 o'clock. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Alexander. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks to our consultants for all the work getting us